So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. In today's video, we are back with another episode of our Curry era rebuild series, and today it's the Philadelphia 76ers. To try to put it nicely, this 76ers team was not very good. At this time, they are in the middle of the process, if you will. They are trying to accumulate draft picks, young players, and really just not be a good competitive basketball team. So this team won only 28 games, of course, ended up landing that number 3 overall selection, then traded up to number 1 with the Celtics, and I think we all know how that story goes with Mr. Markelle Fultz. So our goal today is to obviously build a championship contender. We have Joel Embiid. This is technically his rookie season, and we also have Ben Simmons. So there are some nice young pieces in place. There definitely is still a lot to work to do, though. And finally, as always, let me know any of the rebuild ideas down below in the comment section. I've got a lot of requests to do different teams in this Curry era, and I'm not going to lie to you, some of these teams I am intentionally holding off and waiting to do because I am looking for a way to get complete rosters. I have spent numerous hours, I would say at this point, looking for completed shared files on rosters that have accurate players and everything like that. So obviously there's going to be guys missing on pretty much any single roster, but the ones 2K creates are not that great, to be honest with you. So if anybody knows how to get a shared scenario, a shared file that has a completed roster with, at least all the star players, I'd greatly appreciate it. Let me know down below in the comment section. But excited for this Sixers video today. Of course, they are still looking for that championship with Joel Embiid. That's my goal. Let's get into it. All right, we now find ourselves here at the start of the 2016-17 campaign. As we just talked about a little bit in the intro, this was Joel Embiid's rookie season because he missed the 2 seasons prior after being drafted. Ben Simmons, of course, also missed his rookie season and then won Rookie of the Year in 2017. So we are going to figure out how we want to go about this today. Embiid's 100% going to play. I will likely play Ben Simmons as well, just because this is not a realistic rebuild. It would make no sense for me to legitimately bench Ben Simmons for no reason. So yeah, my apologies if you don't think that's the right choice. But let's go ahead and talk about this team. First and foremost, there are some notable names missing. Ersan Ilyasova, believe it or not, is actually the biggest one. He was the second leading scorer on this team behind Joel Embiid, and yeah, he's just not here, and it's what you kind of get with 2K. Jahlil Okafor also not here. Jared Bayless, and there's a few others that I cannot quite remember at this point in time, but they're obviously not super notable. So that's also what I'm talking about. If anybody knows how to get the shared file, the shared scenario, in order to have complete and accurate rosters, I'd very much appreciate it. All right, let's talk about it a little bit. Ben Simmons, 20 years old, of course, the number 1 overall pick in the draft at this point would just be a few months ago, and he ends up being pretty good in these videos, and he was pretty good in real life as well until, of course, everything kind of went to shit after that Atlanta Hawks series back in 2021. So, if he develops normally and he plays at a high level, there is a very high chance he is my guy on this team for the entirety of this video. So we'll see. Behind him, going to be TJ McConnell, 24 years old. Didn't play a ton for this Sixers team this year in real life. Of course, still a really, really solid kind of backup point guard option in today's NBA. And I like the age quite a bit. The overall is pretty strong, and I love the contract. So he'll likely be here for the entire video. You got Sergio Rodriguez, at least a real person behind him. Kind of the third option at that point guard spot right now. Probably not going to be a mainstay in this rotation, but could explore some different trade options, some different possibilities there. You can, of course, ignore the auto-generated, not real players behind those 3. Shooting guard spot, empty. Yep, certainly going to need to address that at some point in time because whoever Butch Washington is, cool name, shitty contract, terrible overall. Not going to cut it, my friend. Now, the small forward spot. I believe Robert Covington came in top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year voting this season. So I'm not saying he's going to be a starter for us all 3 seasons. Just kind of a fun little tidbit I'm throwing in there. But he's 25 years old. He's 78 overall. He's a quality role player with this team, but he's not really much more than that. So we'll certainly take a look at some point what we want to do with that small forward spot, but year 1 likely going to be a starter. You got Jeremy Grant, who's only 22 years old behind him. Ends up obviously becoming a really quality NBA player. Still going strong these days with Portland, but if that overall continues to develop, no reason he cannot be a backup for me the whole time. You can ignore Audie Hall, Eric Brandon. Trust me, those contracts will be getting changed. The power forward spot, Dario Saric ended up coming in, I think, 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting. I think it was, oh no, he was 2nd behind Malcolm Brogdon. I think Embiid was 3rd. Kind of crazy. They had 2 guys finish, top 3 Rookie of the Year. Obviously, Dario Saric's career maybe didn't pan out the way many people thought after this rookie season here in Philadelphia, but he's a good player. I know his progression typically gets him to around an 83 overall by year 3, so that's what happens. He could end up starting for us. Got Rashawn Holmes behind him, 76 overall, 23 years old. So, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. There's some decent depth here and some decent young players with this Sixers team. I mean, I wouldn't say we're contending, but there's certainly an argument to make that we might not be as bad as 28 wins as the Sixers were in real life. And then finally, the center spot, one and only listed guy right now is Joel Embiid. He's 22, he's going to be heading into his first NBA game here. I have a couple questions. First and foremost, if Joel Embiid hadn't stepped foot on an NBA court at this point, why is he an 86 overall? I'm not complaining about it because obviously it's going to benefit us today, but I don't know if this is 2K, I guess projecting what he turns out to be, but he played like 31-ish games this season. Wasn't like he was a superstar in his rookie season. I mean, it was like 20 points a game, and he obviously was good, but 86 overall feels a bit high for a guy, again, who hadn't stepped on the court at this point in time. So we know he turns into a superstar. We know he turns into an MVP, but I'm just saying. All right, we got some moves with this team for sure before we kick off year one. Our first trade of today's video is going to come with the Sacramento Kings, and it looks like this. Sergio Rodriguez, who of course was kind of our third point guard on this team right now, ultimately wasn't really going to be in the rotation, and it is an expiring contract. He's going to be sent out to Sacramento in a deal for Garrett Temple. Now, Temple is also 30 years old. He is a low-ish 70 overall, and he's a decent option for us at the shooting guard spot for year one. Not a superstar or anything like that, but he's certainly better than what we had and is on a multi-year contract. So it's not the greatest trade in the world. Again, it is a stopgap for likely one season, but at least he's a real player, and he's going to be better than what we have to work with right now. I feel like I've made a trade like this pretty much every single video, and again, I don't love doing it, but at least we're getting two real players. Now, Metta World Peace and Jose Calderon likely will not be with this team past one season. Hell, one, if not both of them, may even be traded before year one kicks off. But they're real players, and giving up Anthony Walker and Audi Hall, whoever the hell these guys are, is not going to kill me. So, at this point of these Curry era rebuilds, I've kind of figured out a couple different things. First and foremost, if you want to go ahead and sign free agents, you can certainly do that. It's just not necessarily challenging or very exciting. Or you can make deals like this where you're not necessarily getting great value, but they unfortunately are pretty repetitive. So we're going to make this deal here with the Lakers. I think Metta World Peace will likely have to come off the bench for us at the backup small forward spot. I will likely then move Jeremy Grant to the backup 4, and then I'll likely move Rashawn Holmes to the backup 5 behind Embiid. Of course, that does leave a little bit of a gaping hole at the backup shooting guard spot, but we'll have probably one more trade to address that. And finally, I'd like to give a big thank you to the Miami Heat. We are going to be making our final deal with them, and it is going to land us 23-year-old Josh Richardson, who, at this point in time is actually not a bad option to trade for. I mean, I know we just got Calderon from the Lakers, and I know we also discussed how one of him or Metta World Peace could be moved, and this is the scenario we find ourselves in. I'm trying to be creative with the moves that I make in order to get real, somewhat quality players for year one. So Calderon 35 going to Miami along with whoever the hell Donnie Robinson is in the 2017 second round pick. And then Richardson's 23. I know we also just added Garrett Temple, but given Richardson's age and his potential compared to Temple's, I think it makes a little bit more sense to start him. So we have a 10-man rotation of real NBA players. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but at least we have 10 guys. So let's set that rotation before we kick off year one. I have one goal here for season number 1. It is the development of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Obviously, we made the decision to play Ben Simmons in what would have been his rookie season, but of course he missed it in real life. Here in 2K, we're going to give him a shot. It doesn't really hurt us to play him where it might actually hurt us to sit him. So it's not a realistic rebuild, as we've already discussed. I'm sure many of you are aware, and it's the decision we are making. So Simmons is going to be my point guard. Of course, made the move for Josh Richardson. He'll be my starting shooting guard. Got Rocco at the 3, Saric at the 4, and finally Embiid at the 5. So my 1, my 5, developing both Simmons and Embiid is goal number 1, and really the only thing we're looking forward to this season. Bench unit is okay. It's not one of the elite benches I've had throughout these Curry era rebuilds, but it is certainly a good starting point for a year one with a really, really shitty team like the Sixers. McConnell going to be my 6th man. Got Rashawn Holmes behind him. Garrett Temple, the backup 2. Jeremy Grant, the backup 4. And finally, Mr. Metta World Peace. Hopefully he doesn't throw many elbows this season at the backup 3. So this team, of course, is coached by Brett Brown, who, did some okay things with the Sixers. Wouldn't necessarily say it was anything great. But we are here for now. It's likely that we are not going to be great this first season. And for that, I'm actually okay. So I'll see you guys at the end of year number 1. Hopefully our one and only pretty bad season is over. We won only 22 games. Of course, that is 6 less than this team actually won in real life, and they also did that without Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid only playing 31 games. So Yeah, we sucked, to say it nicely. Russell Westbrook, he is your MVP. Embiid does win Rookie of the Year. A pretty solid season all around, about 19 points, 9 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Feels like he always wins it here in year one. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this was the year Malcolm Brogdon actually did win it in real life. Sullinger, 6th man. Draymond, Depoy, Jokic, most improved, and 68 wins for Steven Butler, whoever the hell that is there. In Toronto. So we are not going to be participating in the playoffs. Something I will add right now, and then we'll touch on as we get closer to the draft lottery, is that the Lakers pick is currently owned by us. Now, it is top 3 protected, and if it is in the top 3, we actually have their unprotected pick next season. That is something that is a little nuanced and a little forgotten in NBA history, but that trade dates all the way back to the Lakers' final title run when they were trying to add, Steve Nash and Dwight Howard. They made a trade that eventually trickled down into the fact that we are going to have their first round pick this year if it is outside the top 3. We'll touch on it a little bit more once we get there. Good article by SB Nation. All right, we were worst in the East. We were worst in the league. Again, we're going to be keeping all eyes on this draft pick right here because if it is 4 or lower, it is ours. Now let's go ahead and dive into some of the numbers real quick for this team. Led in points per game by Embiid. Dario Saric was really solid, probably in the Rookie of the Year race as he was in real life. You got Ben Simmons. A little bit of doing everything here. 14.5 points, 9 rebounds, 6.5 assists. He was 51% from the field, of course. I'll just check it for hilarity. 0% from 3. All right, Rocco, Holmes, Richardson, McConnell, Temple, Grant, and then World Peace. Rebounding department also going to be Embiid, and assist was Simmons. So no playoffs here in year one, but I think if this offseason goes according to my plan, I definitely think we'll be back in it next year. Raptors end up winning it all, and Kyle Lowry finals MVP as they knock out the Spurs. Here in 7 games. It's actually funny just looking at this. You think about this era, like the mid-2010s, of the NBA, it was always obviously the Cavs and the Warriors. I mean, we saw, 4 straight of those finals, and it felt like, I don't want to necessarily say little brother, because that feels disrespectful, but like the Raptors, maybe the little brother of the East in that era, because it was always LeBronto, and of course, we all know what happened with the Spurs and Kawhi Leonard, and everything went to shit pretty quickly. And I'm not saying neither of these franchises stink. They've obviously both won championships. You get it, but it just felt like, the 2 B teams in the East and the West throughout these years ended up competing in the finals. I have no idea why I'm going off about that right now. Let's get into it. I don't think we're going to have any major, really notable retirements, historic changes. Yep, that's good. That's cool. And then the Nike logo for everybody. Okay, biggest moment for us so far. We are projected to have the number 1 overall pick. I don't know what's up with the Dallas pick. I know the Lakers pick, if it stays at 4 or goes lower, it is ours. If it is in the top 3, we have their unprotected first next season. Let's take a look at what happens. Our pick stays at 2. The Lakers goes to 5, so we do have it. And then we don't have the Mavericks pick. I have no idea what the protections are on that, and I couldn't find anything about it. So 2 and 5, awesome. That is great for a team like us who is obviously rebuilding. And then in real life, Lakers got lucky. They got number 2 overall, drafted Lonzo, and of course that did, I wouldn't say not necessarily go according to plan, because they included him in an Anthony Davis trade that later led to a title. So it's hard to say that draft pick didn't work out for them, but the player maybe didn't work out for him. Okay, Brett Brown. I'm not a fan. I never really was. I don't necessarily think he's the smartest guy when it comes to X's and O's. There are a lot of names here. Of course, Doc Rivers is a former Sixers head coach. Well, now he is. In real life, he would not have been in this real life, he would not have been. I think it makes some sense to move on. There are some quality names here, and I'm just not really a huge Brett Brown guy. The ratings aren't there. There wasn't a lot of potential, so I could go after Stauffer. I feel like I've gotten him a decent amount recently, and we only have like $5.2 million to spend. So maybe some of the lower tiered guys like Budenholzer could be fun, so I'll throw him some money. How about a guy like Quinn Snyder, also a viable option? And then is there anybody else here that I could maybe... Is this Jamal Mosley? Ooh, that's pretty cool. Mike Brown also here. Okay, Mike Woodson as well. There's some pretty cool names here. I gotta say, the Curry era rebuilds here have like more actual head coaches than the bullshit we see with like current era. That's just kind of funny. All right, and then I think my final option will be Jacob Underwood as kind of like a third and final resort, and he's actually the only one that's going to sign with me. So I guess Jacob Underwood going to be leading the charge for this Sixers team, at least into next season. Okay, big pivotal moment of this video. We have 2 top 5 picks, which is fantastic. I think my plan right now is to use number 2. Because I have a player in mind, and it is at a glaring hole for this team right now at that shooting guard spot. Donovan Mitchell, if you couldn't tell. And then I think I'll actually use number 5 as well. There's an argument to be made. Maybe go ahead and trade one of the picks. But if you look at our contract situation right now, there's not really a big enough contract, on this team that we could maybe move along with number 5 in order to land a star. Like, I'll take a glance. Just curious. Don't want to do Middleton. Probably not for Jaylen Brown. Not Darren Collison. I mean, there are some nice players here. There's not really any franchise-altering players. Would love Drummond. It's just literally the last need we have on this team right now. So, CJ McCollum, another guy, but again, we're probably going to draft Donovan Mitchell. So, I'll use both of those draft picks, and then I'll actually see, is it possible, who has the #1 overall pick in round 2? Just curious, who has that? Because if I can maybe move up a little bit and actually get an NBA player here, I'd be pretty cool with that. That's definitely not what I was trying to do. All right, let's just see here. Okay, cool. I don't really ever use second-round picks, but you know what? If I can get an actual NBA player, that's fine by me. Please do not take Donovan Mitchell. I mean, I'll take Tatum, but I just got him the other day. Son of a bitch! I legitimately, every time I put it out into the universe, what I don't want to happen, it happens. And it's very frustrating. All right, I'm not doing that. I don't want Nicholas Batum. No. Not a terrible deal, but there's just no way. All right, could I just give up a bunch of second-round picks? You're out of your fucking mind. There is legitimately no way. Okay, cool. Second-round picks, again, have been very nice to me. Okay. Let's sim all the way up to number 5. Again, I'm not sure who my guy really is. I mean, Tatum or Adebayo falling that low obviously would have been elite. It just doesn't look like it's going to be the case for us here today, though. So, I'm thinking positionally. I think out of this list right here, I would say De'Aaron Fox is clearly the best player, but I don't know if he's the biggest need. I think Lauri Markkanen makes some sense. Now, Dario Saric is fine. Had a pretty good season for us, his rookie campaign that we obviously just watched. But Lauri Markkanen could be a nice depth piece for this team, and we could obviously maybe move him to the small forward spot if we had to. I think he's going to be the guy. Not really ever drafting him in these videos, and of course I have gotten Fox a few times. So, Lauri Markkanen, welcome to the team. Again, fully would take De'Aaron Fox in just a... Wait, do I not have my second-round pick? Oh, shit. Did I trade that? Oh, whoops. We're taking Lauri Markkanen. I guess I traded my pick and didn't even realize it. But Mitchell and Markkanen going to be my two guys, 78 and 77 overall, respectively. Now, everybody here except for Mr. Kenny Long is going to be brought back on their team options. And then now we are going to take a look here at free agency, where obviously there are a few notable names. So we are going to consider everybody. There's no doubt about that in my mind. But there's also a loaded free agency class next offseason, which I think we're going to have some money to spend if we play it right. Because, again, a lot of our guys here outside of Embiid are not really expiring anytime soon. So I'm going to look for some free agents. I'm going to look for some different trades, and I'll see you guys with whatever's next. We are making a trade. It might not necessarily be the one you are thinking about, but it's going to be a deal here with the Chicago Bulls. And let me just tell you, by making this trade, it's going to put us in a bit of a risky position, because by making this trade, I am committing to likely not being a great team next season, which of course is risky because then it leaves us with one off season and one regular season basically to do what will likely be worst to first. Not worst to first, but pretty damn close in all likelihood. But Garrett Temple, Eric Brandon, whoever the hell you are going to Chicago for 2 first-round picks. Why they're willing to do that, I have no idea. But we have an established 10-man rotation that I am comfortable with. It's going to be Simmons and McConnell, Mitchell and Richardson, Covington and Grant, Saric and Markkanen, and finally Embiid and Rashawn Holmes. So our number one big free agent next offseason is Joel Embiid. Of course, he's going to be a restricted free agent, which will certainly benefit us, but if I'm remembering correctly, next offseason's free agency is absolutely loaded. So I'm going to save my money and spend it then, mostly because I always spend it this offseason, and I do think this team is maybe still 1 year away. So that's the plan as of now, of course. Certainly could backfire, but we're going to see a lot of progression out of some of our younger guys. I think it makes the most sense. Harold Butler, who the hell are you? Get off my team. Okay. Oh, come on. Just thank you very much, Utah. All right. I will see you guys at the start of year 2. It is the start of our second season here in Philadelphia. Now, this offseason, we really didn't do anything too crazy in the trade or free agency department. Of course, drafted 2 guys that end up being really quality NBA players, and Donovan Mitchell and Lauri Markkanen. But outside of that, there really wasn't anything. And for that, it is obviously risky, but it is the decision we made, and I'm excited. I am. So I'm not sure if this is a playoff team. It could be, because, again, the East is not necessarily great, but I'd also be fine with being in the lottery once again. It is going to be Simmons, Mitchell, Rocco, Saric, Embiid. I mean, again, hypothetically, if everybody was in their prime, that is clearly a playoff team and probably the favorite in the East, but that's not the case. Lauri Markkanen will be my 6th man off the bench. You got Rashawn Holmes behind him, TJ McConnell, Josh Richardson, and Jeremy Grant. So that's what we're going with. Obviously, new head coach here as well, and Jacob Underwood, and hopefully this team can make a little bit of noise. I mean, again, not going to be true contenders, but I expect it to be a fun season. I would say year 2 was a surprise, and I'm not really sure what happened. It was good. We went 56 and 26. We didn't really do a lot in the offseason in terms of adding any superstars or any stars, really, for that matter, but Things went well. Russell Westbrook, damn near 37.5 point triple-double. He's your MVP. Lonzo does win Rookie of the Year. James Johnson, 6th Man of the Year in Golden State. DJ, your depoy. Austin Crawford, I think I've seen this name before, and correct me if I'm wrong, I do not think this is a real person. And Ty Lue, 67 wins there in Cleveland, is your Coach of the Year. We're a 3 seed. We are a 3 seed, and for that, I am shocked, to say it nicely. I did not think this was, a playoff team that was going to be, I don't want to say a powerhouse in the East, but, maybe one of the better teams in this conference. So I didn't see it coming. Of course, it did end up happening, and we're going to be competing in the playoffs. Here are the numbers. Joel Embiid, pretty good season. Ben Simmons, Dario Saric, Donovan Mitchell, Markkanen, Covington, Holmes, Richardson, McConnell, and then Grant. Rebounding department, Embiid. Assists is going to be Simmons. Okay, little ahead of schedule here. I'm not going to lie to you people. It is us and the Pistons here in round 1. I would say we had the best player. Andre Drummond is really good, but I think maybe Embiid's better at this point. So going to be a fun series. Battle of 2 really, really good big men. We are quickly down 2-0. Make that 3-0. Make that a sweep. Okay, that feels a little bit more realistic. It's our first crack at the playoffs with this team, and it obviously did not go super well. It was not a super strong series for anybody. I mean, Embiid's scoring went down a little bit. His field goal percentage was pretty dreadful, but, it's the playoffs and Joel Embiid, so I don't know. Dario Saric, Mitchell was just not great. Yeah, our rookies had a tough time, no doubt about that. So a sweep is never fun, even if you're a 3 seed and a team that overachieved by all means, but it is what it is. Mike Conley in the Grizzlies win the finals. He's your finals MVP. A little bit of a surprise there as they dethrone LeBron, Kyrie, and the rest of the Cavs. Okay, some retirements there, some certainly notable names. We are going to go ahead and go about the offseason probably the same way we were going to. I mean, maybe we don't have to make as many moves, but I still plan on swinging pretty big here in free agency. So doesn't really look like we're going to have a ton in the draft pick department. I mean, that Dallas pick is currently projected to be 11, which is definitely not nothing, but it sits right there at 11. Okay, I'm going to hang on to Jacob Underwood. The rating certainly could be better. We could go out and get somebody, probably more experienced, maybe a little bit of a better overall head coach just in terms of the ratings, but I'm fine. We overachieved this season, and although it was a disappointing exit, it was not a disappointing process. Okay, let's approach the draft. We have the 11th overall pick, also have 26 in round 1. You know what I'm thinking about doing? I'm thinking about maybe moving up to like number 8 or something. Nothing crazy, but if we can just maybe move up a few spots, maybe kind of combine all these draft picks, I would be cool with that. So 8 is the Lakers. Okay, I'm pretty sure the Lakers are probably pissed at us after last season, but fine by me. All right, this is the 2018 draft, by the way. This is Luka, Trae Young, all those guys. We're not going to get either of them, but that is the class. Wow. The Suns not only still land number 1 overall, they made the same stupid mistake they made in real life. My God, stupid is as stupid does. Okay, there are some nice names here. Mikal Bridges is jumping out at me immediately, but I think in this situation, SGA is here. Ooh, that might be tough. I mean, from this draft class, there's not even a little bit of a doubt that SGA is the best player here on the board. He's not Luka Doncic. He's certainly the second best player from this draft class, but he's not going to be the highest overall. I know that in I don't want to say championship or bust season. Maybe it makes a little bit more sense to draft one of the higher overalls, but I can't pass on SGA. I'd be an idiot to do so. So I know he's going to be like a 73 overall. God, it's actually sad that I know that. But again, he's clearly the best player and maybe the most valuable if I were to include him in a trade. All right, this is where things are going to get a little bit real. Joel Embiid is going to be a restricted free agent. So is Josh Richardson. I am going to qualify both of them. And looking at this free agency class, you can see right here immediately, it is absolutely loaded. So probably a few names we can wipe off the board immediately. I don't think Boogie Cousins makes any sense for us. Probably not Russ or Isaiah Thomas, but I'm going to probably try to throw a little bit of money here at the, in my opinion anyways, the greatest player in the history of basketball. So probably not going to accept it, but it is certainly not going to hurt us to try. There's also an argument to be made. Maybe I go ahead and actually try to sign Russ or Isaiah Thomas, and maybe I move Simmons to like the 3 or the 4. I have to get somebody here. There's no doubt about that in my mind. So I guess I will throw a little bit of money. I've kind of talked myself into it, if you will, at Russ or Isaiah Thomas. Boogie Cousins is just not going to happen. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us just from a fit perspective. But Embiid has one offer right now. It is our qualifying offer. And do we not have bird rights on him? Oh, this fucking game. God, this game is so fucking stupid. Roko's unrestricted, but honestly, if we have to replace him, that's fine. We get, seriously, nobody? We didn't get a single one of them? Oh, fucking bend me over. There's no way we missed out on all of them. God, that sucks. That really sucks. Dallas, Boston, Denver. Shit. All right, well, that is a bit of a tougher spot. Wow. I mean, is Carmelo Anthony going to be my guy? He's probably going to regress, but at this point, I don't really think I have many other options. Again, I don't see a fit naturally at all between Boogie Cousins. How do you have money for fucking LeBron and Boogie Cousins? My God. I think Melo is probably going to be my guy. 2 years, $50 million is all he's being offered right now by the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's going to regress like crazy. I know it, but he's certainly better than what we had at that small forward spot. So we're going to sign Carmelo Anthony. We're not going to renounce anybody here. And yeah, I wasn't necessarily planning on that being my guy, but oh, Josh Richardson wants to go to the Suns. I'll match that. But it is. And now we are going to go ahead and re-sign Joel Embiid. So yeah, again, not my favorite situation in the world. You know, I think we could have done, really? Okay. We could have done a little bit better, obviously, but you know what? Compared to what we had at that small forward spot, it's actually not really the end of the world. So, Carmelo Anthony, welcome to the team. Now is the time. I do think we need to make one more trade and upgrade this team just a little bit more. If we take a look at our free agents, Rocco is still sitting here, 3 years, roughly $23.5 million. I can probably beat that if I just do that. So, we'll pay Rocco as well. Welcome back to the team, and certainly time to look at some trade options now. We're going to attempt to make a risky move, a very, very risky move, because we're giving up a lot of our depth right now, but it would land us Damian Lillard if we were able to pull it off. I think Damian Lillard would be a clear-cut upgrade on this team. Obviously, we just slide Ben Simmons likely to the starting power forward spot, and, you know, we haven't made it out of the first round yet. And obviously, this offseason, we had high hopes of getting a superstar free agent. Didn't happen, have to pivot, and I think Dame would be a good pivot spot. So I know we just re-signed Richardson and Rocco. I completely understand it's unrealistic, this whole rebuild has, but I got to do something here. So let's see if we can get Dame Dalla from the Sacramento Kings, from the Portland Trail Blazers. We get the deal done, and I'm happy about it. I think it's a really good fit with us, and I'm excited to have him. So Simmons is going to take over the power forward spot, going to be Lillard and McConnell. We definitely need to go ahead and sign some depth right now at our 2 and at our 3, but we're in a pretty good spot, and you know, the bench, especially the bottom end of the bench, is likely going to suck, but it is just the risk we kind of had to take if we wanted to get a superstar, and obviously we accomplished that. So Reggie Bullock, fine by me, going to be, really? Okay, going to be our 10th and final guy, not the end of the world, hopefully. Thank you. I'll see you guys at the start of the final season. Well, I don't know if I'd say this is our deepest team yet. It's certainly our top heaviest, if that makes any sense. This team obviously now has some superstars on it with Damian Lillard. I mean, if you want to call Carmelo Anthony at this point of his career a star, you're more than welcome to. And then Simmons and Embiid are developing quite nicely. So this is clearly our best chance to win so far. We have, as I mentioned, yet to make it out of the first round, and we are trying to go not from worst to first, but, you know, pretty damn close. It is Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Carmelo Anthony, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. A loaded 1 through 5, no doubt about it. Bench unit took a little bit of a hit. You got Sarge taking over as a 6-man. Still got Rashawn Holmes and TJ McConnell. Obviously brought in Pat Connaughton and Reggie Bullock. I mean, the bench isn't dreadful or anything like that. It's just not as good as maybe as it was at one point. But I think this is clearly our best team yet, no doubt in my mind. And I'll see you guys at the end of the final regular season. As we suspected, it was our best regular season yet, by far. 72-10 is the final record, of course, tying the second best record in NBA history. Now, Russell Westbrook is your MVP. We saw him sign with Denver. Of course, we're currently with the Denver Nuggets. I'd like to think about that. If the current Denver Nuggets were as they were, but Russell Westbrook was in, you know, prime MVP form, I think they're clearly the best team in the league at that point. But, you know, what would it look like is really the question I'm trying to ask right now. I don't know why I'm asking you. You can't respond to me right now. All right, Russ MVP. Trae Young, 27 points a game as a rookie is blasphemous, for lack of a better term. I mean, I bet the Kings sucked, and that's why he got probably such a high usage rate, but no doubt about it, even if they won 0 games, it's an insane rookie season. Marvin Bagley, your 6th man of the year. Talk about guys that were drafted ahead of Luka Doncic. Great job, Sacramento. All right, Andre Drummond, your DPOY. Malik Beasley, most improved, and Jacob Underwood does take home coach of the year at 72-10 for us. So, you know, I've said it a bunch. I'm not going to keep, you know, talking about it, but we've yet to win a playoff series, and this is all in. This is now, this is never. So we had the best record in the league. Here are the numbers in the points per game department. Not a single guy technically scored 20-plus points, where it was Damian Lillard at 19.9, Joel Embiid, Carmelo Anthony, Simmons, Saric, Mitchell, Holmes, Connaughton, McConnell, and Bullock. Rebounding department is Embiid, and assists is Simmons. Okay. Us and the Wizards here in round 1. I've gotten a lot of requests to do the Wizards, by the way, and I absolutely loved the Wizards during this time. I watched a lot of battles with my Boston Celtics throughout, you know, 2016, 17, even earlier than that, like 2015. But John Wall's not on this roster, and that's why I've not done them so far. And I certainly would like to get to it at some point, but I need a shared scenario with John Wall on it. So if anybody knows how I was, how to get to one of those, as I was discussing earlier on in the video, please let me know, because I'd like to do the Wizards very soon. All right, that being said, I'd like to kick the shit out of them right now. We are currently up 2-0, make that 3-0, make that a clean sweep. All right, moving on to the Cavs. They lost LeBron, but strangely enough, I have seen this before, they are still really, really good. And I'm not saying that this team completely sucks, but they shouldn't be really anything without LeBron. I mean, Kyrie and Kevin Love are both really quality players, but I'm not nervous about them, but I am nervous because I know how 2K operates. So we are currently up 2-1 against them. Make that 3-1. Okay, 1-5. Now the Celtics here in the Eastern Conference Finals. Last offseason, we tried to sign Isaiah Thomas away. Didn't end up happening. We pivoted and trade for Dame. I'm cool with that. Jamal Crawford, Jaylen Brown, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Al Horford. I'm not terribly worried about it. But I think, got to go game by game. Okay, we're up 3-0. No. Thank you. All right, we're in the NBA Finals. We're taking on the Phoenix Suns, who are a 7 seed here. Okay, Bledsoe, Booker, Malik Beasley, Collins, Ayton. I mean, Booker's great. Looks like Bledsoe's still going strong. Yeah, I don't really see it as much. I'm not going to lie to you. So we're up 3-0. I'm actually going to get some gameplay today. I know I've been lacking gameplay recently, and for that I apologize. It's not that I don't want to get gameplay. It's honestly, to be completely honest with you and transparent, it's a time thing. It's how long I have to record. So I got a little extra time today, so I'm happy to get a little bit of gameplay for you guys, because I know some of you, as much as I do suck at this game, for some reason do enjoy it. So we're up 16 right now. I'll see you guys in there. 3:21 left on the clock here in Phoenix. God, this court is terrible. There's no way the Suns court looked like this in 2018, this would be the 2018 finals. There's no, actually, this would be the 2019 finals. There's no way the Suns court looked like this in 2019. That I promise you. Nonetheless, we are here. It's cool to see all these guys get in the ring. Of course, this entire starting five has not won a championship. And of course, everybody at vastly different points of their career. I mean, there's certainly still a possibility that Donovan Mitchell gets one, maybe even this year. But, guys like Damian Lillard, obviously Melo never got one. There's certainly a clock running on some of these. So, only 2K, but pretty cool to see some of these guys who, of course, never got to win a championship win one here, even if it is 2K. So I have a feeling Damian Lillard probably going to be the Finals MVP. I'm happy we traded for him. I'm happy he was an option. I'm not going to lie, I tried a few other guys before I tried him. Not that Dame is not a really quality player, but I tried to trade for Kyrie. It just wasn't happening. And but we're going to be getting this done anyways. I don't know why Phoenix is playing as if there is not a heavy clock on what they have the capability of doing here. Because really, we're fouling. Come on. I mean, I'm fouling, I guess. Okay, I guess we can chat about this actual Sixers team, from this era. And, we talked a little bit about it in the beginning of the video, but, it was really a combination of many things for the Sixers team throughout the mid to late 2010s. We can talk all we want about, Embiid kind of being a playoff dropper, if you will. And, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen my own basketball, my Celtics win series because Embiid is a playoff dropper. I get it. And he fully deserves the backlash he gets with the playoffs right now. And I understand even this season he's sitting out from an injury that I still don't really feel like anybody knows what it is. Because he played in the Olympics and all of a sudden we came into this NBA season and he was hurt. That I don't get, but that's neither here nor there. I think a lot more of the Sixers, lack of playoff success so far and their second round exits really, I feel like it's more of an organizational thing. Because I'm not going to sit here and say that Joel Embiid hasn't had any help, because that would be a lie. That's a flat out lie. But, I think about sometimes these teams they put around him and some of these moves that they've tried to make. And now I'm even talking about these previous couple seasons. It feels like it just doesn't really fit very well around Embiid in the kind of basketball he plays. And I know that kind of basketball isn't for everybody, and it's certainly not for every player around him. But, we're coming up at the point of his career where it can't be an excuse-making fest anymore. So I'm hoping, as a basketball fan, that Joel Embiid is able to, maintain health and get to a conference finals and hopefully an NBA finals, because for a guy that is as dominant as he is when he's healthy, at least in the regular season, it would be such a shame and such a mark on his legacy if he was truly never able to get, not even just over the hump, because there are plenty of Hall of Fame first ballot players that never win championships. We know that. But even not to sniff a conference finals, that would be a little much. So, I'm not saying that Embiid is perfect. He's certainly not. And I didn't mean to make this an Embiid rant fest, but it kind of all does start with him. He's certainly the longest tenured Sixers player right now. Of course, Simmons is no longer there, and that's a whole other story. But I just think he's got to take over when it matters. I really do. And I hope he's capable of it because, as much as you want to call him a foul baiter, you can call him whatever you want. And sometimes it's truly dreadful to watch. It really is. I'm not going to deny that. But it would be cool to get, a little bit of, I don't want to say parity in this league, but at least have another contending team like the Sixers are supposed to be this season, at least. So we kind of went all over the place there. I did not mean to just rag on Embiid. It's not what the purpose of this conversation was, but I think back to some of those Sixers teams, even like Donovan Mitchell, even like pre-James Harden, like, they weren't great by any means. I understand that, Tobias Harris had a lot to do with it and his shitty contract, and then, so many other factors with injuries and health and shitty coaching and just really just not great rosters. But I think the time is now, man. I hope Embiid can be back and be back consistently very soon, because the Sixers are not fun to watch without him. And if he can't stay, healthy moving forward into, the next couple seasons somewhat consistently, if he's out of like the award races, like he's not eligible for awards already this season. If he's out of those races basically before December hits, which I believe he was this season, it's ridiculous. It really is. And the Sixers are in a really shitty spot if that's the case. So I didn't mean to harp on Embiid. I just kind of want to see him do well, even as a Celtics fan. I know that's kind of crazy, but we're going to be winning a championship here in this reality. So I'll see you guys at the Finals MVP. Congratulations, Philadelphia. You won a championship, and Embiid still does get Finals MVP. So maybe take a quick screenshot. I don't know if that's actually ever going to happen, but really insane numbers, really absolutely wild shooting splits. Awesome. So, yeah, that's a championship. Interesting video. We started out with a team that was ultimately not as bad on paper as they obviously were in real life. And obviously, injuries play a big factor in that. But this was a rebuild that I thoroughly enjoyed. And, it didn't go according to plan at every single point because, of course, we had big free agency hopes in offseason number 2, and that went to shit pretty quickly. But obviously happy, to get Embiid, Dame, Carmelo Anthony, even Ben Simmons a ring in this scenario. And I hope you guys enjoyed. So let me know any other rebuild ideas down below in the comment section. I am always open to anything and everything you guys want to see. So that's it for me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.